BC, which is our code word for before COVID, I taught a poetry class in the Tenderloin area of San Francisco. The Tenderloin is a section of the city that has a lot of single-room occupancy hotels. Over the 2 years that I was with these 18 poets, as our trust deepened, the shutters that closed off their personal lives began to open just a little bit more each time we met. As this happened, I slowly began to fall in love with each one of them. As we shared poetry, I began to see their spirits more clearly. I could hear trauma and anger and disappointment, fear, but I also heard tenderness, a guarded sweetness, and gentleness. Poetry, when shared in a safe environment, helps us see into the soul of the poet and introduces us to another way of viewing even the ordinary parts of our lives, let alone when the poet explores the mystery of life and creation. That's what the poet of Proverbs does for us today. This is Trinity Sunday, but the poet wasn't thinking of the doctrine of the Trinity when she or he was pondering the exquisite world as it was being formed. And the view this poet offers us is so much more than the small, open-shuttered window view that our 18 poets shared with one another. This poet boldly throws open the barn door wide and invites us into the evolving story of creation as it is seen through her eyes and her heart. Wisdom, who is with God in the beginning, wisdom who poured forth from the divine before the mountains were formed, wisdom who is brought forth, or as the Hebrew word indicates, danced forth, whirled forth. What a burst of divine grace, divine life. Divinity dancing and rejoicing before the sky was firm. Divinity dancing and rejoicing before the fountains in the depths of the sea bubbled forth life. There she is beside the divine. Can you imagine it? A companion, a master worker, playing on the face of the earth, rejoicing in the inhabitants of the world as each one comes into being, and delighting in us humans from the beginning, every person. And creation actively continues even today as we observe the new insights in our world around us and the galaxies, especially if you remember a couple of weeks ago when Sagittarius A, the large black hole in our Milky Way, took on new significance and captured our attention once again. Wisdom is the breath of the power of God, the breath that rejoices in the divine and in the dance of love together give life to the incarnate Word, the child of wisdom. The Word who pitched a tent around among us in the fourth gospel, as it reminds us. The Word who, like wisdom, is not aloof. The Word who, like wisdom, reveals God's abundance, full crops in untended fields, pearls buried in vacant lots, wild bushes housing newborn creatures of the earth and sky. Nothing No one is insignificant, not a coin or a disheartened, despairing disciple. Nothing, no one lost. We know what wisdom looks like in human form. We have met Jesus in prayer and scripture. And because of that, we can recognize wisdom's presence in our own lives. For in each generation, wisdom passes into holy souls, making them friends of God and prophets. Wisdom passes into our souls, making us friends of God and prophets. Yes, we have met wisdom too. Is it not wisdom who spirits our gardens and the oceans as we play in the abundance that surrounds us? Is it not wisdom who sits at our kitchen table as we discuss the events of the day, measuring our wealth by what we share with others? Is it not wisdom who plays in the sandboxes with our children when generosity is taught, forgiveness received, and justice rewarded? And is it not she who helps us keep a compassionate silence in the face of suffering? Yes, holy wisdom delights in us. We will never understand the mystery that the poet explores in the book of Proverbs. But if we sit in silence with the barn doors wide open, wisdom will feed our imaginations so that our spirits will rise and be able to enter into the dance of praise and gratitude. Oh, and don't worry, even if our legs are a little bit old, we'll still be able to join in the dance because our spirits know the steps by heart.